What's up, my good peoples? Welcome to the Be Transformed podcast, where we're talking about ideas that stimulate wholesome thinking into identity, purpose, vision, and action. I am James Anderson, and with me is Logan Eaton, and this is
Kyle's not here.
Kyle did not make it, but we love him anyway. His microphone's still here, but
stuck in an elevator.
that's tough.
That's what he told me. Yeah, he said he was stuck in there. He said he had to use one of the corners to pee in. So he didn't know how long he'd be in there.
Shouldn't have drank all that Tang.
Yeah.
Oh man, you done any good speed dating lately?
Yeah, now that you bring it up. It's funny you mentioned that.
Isn't it?
It's totally coincidence. No, I'd say outside of speed reading.
Can you speed read and
I
speed
think
date at the same time?
I only have one speed of reading, and it's fast speed.
The tortoise. One speed.
One speed and it's fast.
One size fits all.
I have not ever done speed dating, to be truthfully honest.
But you wish you have had.
I think it'd be interesting.
Space Camp was a close second.
Space Camp came close.
It was
It
almost
was as close to speed dating as you could possibly get because of all the
speed.
throwing up and nerves and
All the tumbling.
and sitting in chairs that that you know those orbs that they sit you in.
Oh my
and
gosh.
they spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your brains coming out of your eyes.
Speed dating and that are the same, pretty much the same feeling. Feels like you're going
Every
like
parts of you are going in different directions.
500 G's. Yeah. So many different, yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, no speed dating lately. Just whatever the opposite of that would be. Instead of, it'd be like
Slow and lonely.
slow sailing. Yeah. Yeah. Slow lonely.
Sailing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think it'd be fun though. It'd just be fun just to talk to people real quick and get to know a bunch of people. But I don't think it's a way to. I don't know. No one should take relationship advice from me. So I think I'll just stop. Talking.
Oh my goodness. One day we'll have to do a relationship talk.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Oh jeez.
Me and Kyle are like the worst people. If they have any input on that.
You can tell us all how it's done.
Show you how not to do it, but
10 ways.
yeah, what's new with you besides I told you everything that's new with me. Space Camp Speed Camp hasn't got the registrations out yet, so just waiting on that. That's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Good old Space Camp.
Stocking up on Tang. The powdered.
The
kind.
powdered.
I don't get the
Not
pouches.
not the woo,
No.
but the orange powder.
Yeah.
It's the Kool-Aid of space.
Tang and
Tang, dog. Tang it.
and Frosted Flakes.
At the same time?
Yeah, that's what we eat at Space Camp. Yeah.
No wonder you're throwing up all the time.
Yeah. No, those are just the first two mascots that popped. The monkey and Tang, and then the tiger, Tony the Tiger, for Space Flakes.
They Space Flakes. They both went to space. The tiger
Frosted
ate the
Flakes.
monkey.
No,
the
I think
monkey
Tony,
ate all the
Tony was in
Tang.
space at one point. Tony the Tiger, I think he had a space commercial.
I think he had a
No, that was Count Chocula. Never mind.
what? I think Tony had the Olympics.
Oh yeah, the Space Olympics. That was like in 2004 when they had it on the moon. I think.
Dude, they should totally do a space.
They should. Everyone, their playing field is all even because there's no gravity. So only the best wins.
Yeah.
There's no cheating with ground contact. Sorry, but yeah.
The old, moon. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I ate an hour ago.
Tang.
I'm still hungry. I'm hungry right now.
You got the hunger pains.
Yeah. Yeah. Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like you're hungry for some games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you? What's
I'm
new?
all right. I ate some nachos a little bit ago.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you what's new, but you're hungry. Are you not hungry? Your appetite's settled.
Pretty all right.
Good. What'd you have earlier?
I ate some nachos.
Dang.
Oh yeah. Tang, dog.
Like 6 day.
Tang.
6 day old lasagna.
Oh, how was it?
Good. No, it's good.
Still good.
Yeah, still good.
Moldy?
No,
No.
tastes good. It just
Last piece or still got some?
No, I have a whole. Just started a new pan today, so
You cooked.
I had two pans.
2 pans.
Yeah, got through the one.
Holy cow! And
Yeah.
now
we're
you're
doing
sick of
another.
it.
No, I love lasagna.
No, you love it.
Yeah, but I will be by Sunday.
Okay. Will it be gone by Sunday?
Oh yeah, it'll be finished up.
This is at lunch and dinner.
No, just dinners for the week. Yeah.
Just dinner.
Yeah, but I'll be sick of it by Sunday, and it's gonna be a Mexican dish, I think. Big bean or fried
lasagna
beans.
will turn into a Mexican dish.
Yeah, it can if you
Or
you just add tortillas. That's it.
Then it's Mexican.
Yeah.
Maybe a refried bean or two.
Were your nachos loaded?
Just loaded with cheese.
What kind? American or fettuccine or what's the
Definitely
normal?
not fettuccines. It's the Mexican mix, actually.
Oh yeah, the 4Gs.
Shredded, yeah. Do you remember
Pre-shipped.
when you didn't buy shredded cheese?
They just bought the block.
Yeah, like
I sometimes still do.
do you like when
I
you
don't
were,
think I remember a time doing that.
when you were young? Did you never?
Oh yeah, we always
did
had the block. Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah.
graded it.
Yep.
Like when we would have tacos or something.
My mom still just buys the block. She never buys the
never buys the shredded.
packages. Yeah, it's always
Yeah.
the block.
I
And
just
then she's
remember
got the shredder.
like you'd have the big tower shredder thingy.
Yeah.
And then it'd get packed full of cheese and you pop it open.
And then it'd all fall out
Yeah.
on the floor.
Everybody's got it easy these days, the shredded
Yeah.
cheese.
Nobody does any work anymore.
Man, I was like, what is this?
That's how you
Shredded
built your
cheese?
forearms up back then. Shredding cheese. I've lost a few.
A few knuckles. Yeah, you
skins on
might
there.
get a couple skins in with
Yeah.
the cheese, but you don't notice it.
No.
Yes, you would get the bloody knuckles, though.
Yeah. I've done potatoes on it on the thing where it
Yeah?
shreds the potatoes.
Like, kind of
Uh,
like
uh,
pasta-ish?
No,
Just like
what do they call it?
strings
Hash
or-
browns like the hash browns.
Oh.
You just fry them.
Yeah, yeah.
Some butter.
Some
It's
tang.
pretty good, but I don't know. Sometimes they burn really easy.
Too hot? Too hot a pan?
Yeah, too hot or
Too thin?
operator error probably
Oh. Space camp.
or machine error. Yeah.
Just cook those on the
stove's
George
error.
Foreman?
Just a frying pan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some oil?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Did
what you
Did you
said.
hear any fireworks last night?
Yes.
What
We were
was
out in the hot tub.
What was
and
going on?
It was like, well, it's either fireworks or it's World War 16.
It sounded like World War 16.
It sounded closer
That was my first thought.
than it's
that's
ever
like,
sounded before.
this is World War 16. I had two windows, one facing east and one facing west,
Oh, yeah, you're right over there, too.
and I couldn't see anything. I was looking out as hard as I could out the one window, face in the window, couldn't see it. Same thing on the other one. I couldn't see where they were at. Where did you see them?
I didn't see him, but I saw flashes off, like, the houses and stuff. But
I think
I think it was over by the university or something.
my conspiracy is that it was not meant to happen. It was somebody maybe had a stash of them that somebody was smoking by,
Right, I thought
and then
it just caught fire.
everything went out.
I had that
Because
thought.
it was like, I don't know how. I mean, it sounded like they were going off faster than they would like at a professional
Right,
fairground or something.
Yeah.
It sounded like they were all just going off at once.
Yeah, they were super
So
loud.
that's what made me think, like, okay, I think somebody made a mistake. But
Yes.
yeah, but that was
is
after a about 45 minutes of
ducking, hiding under your bed.
Yeah, I think getting a frying pan on my head
in the bathtub with a frying pan.
Like, gosh, I hope everyone's okay out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was getting an AM radio, trying to wire it up to where
the crank one you're cranking
so that I could transmit a signal out in case the power lines went.
I know, man. I started thinking about that movie, Wolverines.
Oh, okay.
Wolverine. I don't know what it's actually called, but I have no idea. It's where it's old. It's like Patrick Swayze was in it.
Oh, okay.
But it was like America gets invaded by another country.
Oh, wow.
And like kind of takes over and whatever. And then these high school kids rebel and take the country back.
I kind of, Is that an 80s movie?
Dawn to Dusk or Dusk to Dawn?
Yeah.
Dawn,
was that like an 80s movie?
Red Dawn, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's what it made me think of. I was like, oh, the Russians are here.
Broke out the...
Or whoever it was that came.
I just tried to dehydrate as much food as I could in the microwave. If something were to happen like that, though, I would be least prepared, I think. I have no weapons,
this lasagna will keep, no problem.
No food that keeps past a week.
You gotta get some preservatives in your life, man.
Like,
some Cheetos.
If like the plumbing stops, there's no bottled water or anything.
Gosh, that's it.
So I might make it 3 days.
Oh gosh.
Tops.
Space camp didn't prepare me for this.
I know they say you can go like a week without, or you can go like a month.
You can go
food.
5 minutes without water and 6 minutes without food, I think.
Okay, I was thinking more like a week without food, but for me it would be like
day.
It would be a day. I think I'd die, or I would want to die at least. Okay, kill me now.
This hunger is too much.
It's only been an hour.
But I'm so hungry.
But yeah, I don't think I would make it, man. I have a baseball bat. That's my only weapon.
That's it.
So unless the person's right there and doesn't have any weapons, unless the enemy is right there, but even then, I swinging it's I never played baseball, so
I don't even know how to
just
use
hitting the target.
Oh my goodness!
It is crazy. Yeah, it scared me a little bit there because I was like, oh my gosh, I think either something blew up or somebody fell down upstairs.
There's either like a Gatling gun out there or some cannonballs being shot or something.
Yeah. Turned into
England has arrived. Not again.
The British are coming. The British are coming.
Oh wait, they're already here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, somebody had a really good time for those fireworks.
Yeah, apparently they were celebrating the fact that school's almost over or something.
Yeah, it would have been. I would have appreciated a heads up on that. I wouldn't have thought. I wouldn't have spent the night in the bathtub with a frying pan over my head.
I would have only spent half the night in that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Dang,
dog.
It was a nice night though. When I was looking out the window, the sun was setting.
Yeah.
Was it cooler last night? It was cooler, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. It's nice.
Yeah. Man, I'm hungry. Jeez.
Dang, dog.
Dang.
Well, let's get it on then. Today we're talking about yeast. Oh, we're talking about bread.
Oh, okay.
So this will fill you right up.
Yeah, so it kind of goes along with the speed dating and astronaut camp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. That's all you need.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good for a time, but not for usually goes bad after a while.
Yeah, yeast. What's a yeast with you?
What is yeast?
Yeast, it makes stuff rise.
So
I don't know what it is, but
it's got to be like
I'm not a scientist.
It's got to be like a liquid or a gas.
It's a
Or
powder
a solid.
or just air. It's a. I've only seen it in powdered form. I think
I've only seen it in bread form. I think
bread. You've seen the post production.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think doesn't it come in a packet?
Or what's baking powder? Baking powder makes like stuff rise. I think baking soda.
Oh, really?
I don't know. One of those. Something.
Baking soda. I never mind.
Is that the one?
I thought that's how you made your homemade soda, like pop.
Is
you
that?
Just add flavoring.
I think that's the one
water?
you just put in your refrigerator. It's supposed
Oh,
to
and
take
it's
the smells away or something.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say it turns into a soda when you put it in colder temperatures.
Yeah, just the powder turns right into liquid form.
Like one of those science kids science experiments.
It's something that you would take to outer space.
Yeah. Well, anyways, yeast is
Yeast.
liquid, solid, or gas.
It's definitely a powder.
Okay.
So is that a solid?
Sure.
Bam. Yeah, but yeast. Jesus was talking to, he was talking to some peoples, and he said, "What could I liken the kingdom of heaven to?" And he said, "Well, it's like a woman who put a little bit of yeast into a batch of dough, and she worked it, and that yeast permeated through the whole batch of dough." That's what the kingdom of heaven is like. Just a little bit cultivated will get you.
In the
Yeah, and but then in another passage he was talking to the disciples and he said, "Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod." And the disciples were like, we forgot bread.
Oh yeah.
He's mad that we didn't bring bread.
That would have been my first thought too.
Jesus was like, close. Real close.
Not really.
But yeah, so yeast stands for, influence. So he says, watch out for the influence, right, of the religious leaders and of the government. So Herod.
They probably understood exactly what yeast was because they probably used it every day. So they probably would have known exactly what it, like how to use it and what it did when it got in contact with the dough.
Yeah, what form it
I
came in.
had no idea. No, I just I was just saying like he was talking like that because they probably were like, oh yeah, yeast, that is this and it does this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, people made bread lots back then. And you had like your leavened bread where you wouldn't put yeast in it so it didn't rise. Those were on special occasions, like the Passover.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So it's just interesting to think about the influence.
Yeast was the parallel of the yeast meant influence.
Yeah, because just a little bit of yeast mixed into a big batch of dough, as you kind of knead the yeast into the dough, it'll spread throughout the entire dough and cause the whole thing to rise when it gets put in the heat.
So a little bit of right influence or a little bit of wrong influence can make the whole batch.
Yeah.
Can make a good or bad batch.
Yes.
Exactly. Interesting.
Yeah. So the definition for influence, which is very interesting, is influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. So it's the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself, which is interesting.
The influence is the effect?
The capacity to have an effect, or it can be the effect itself.
Oh, okay.
I'm totally positive what that means, but it's the capacity, your ability to have an effect on somebody's character, development, behavior.
Interesting.
Yeah, because really it comes down to like the information.
Yeah.
And like where it originated from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, he's just talking about watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod. So watch out for like the religious leaders who say these things but don't actually practice them. The government, which says, different things that don't actually relate to the kingdom.
Right.
Watch out for the influence of these things.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have enough. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like, I was just kind of thinking back to like when I kind of, I guess, started to, in college, when I started to, seek Christ and seek a relationship with Christ and start building that relationship. I think I got influenced by a lot of the bad yeast. I was just a lot of religious stuff that, even just a little bit of it, like even just a little bit of, this content of, that churches had, or that these, videos, people online for speaking and stuff. It just a little bit of it can come in and like screw your whole mind up and get you to think things that aren't really true. But I think then too, just, when I met you and everything, and just that little bit of influence had the power to change, so much. And even just getting into the word, which would be the right influence, had the power to change so much. So I think it's, you have to be careful, like what yeast you're using, or what yeast is influencing you. Because a lot of it can be like, oh, that's good yeast, but in reality, it's like, it's bad yeast.
Yeah. I was thinking about Hebrews 2, which says, we must pay all the more careful attention to what we have heard, so that we don't drift away. Because it's possible to drift away, right? You get these fine-sounding arguments that seem like super beneficial. Yeah. Like they seem totally practical. They're like, oh man, you hear it and you're like, bam, that's the way to live.
Yeah.
But then it like totally jacks you up.
Right.
I was thinking about that concept of drifting away. And it's like, if you've been to a river, or if you've been to the ocean, the ocean has currents. So, let's just say we go to the ocean, right? We show up to the beach, find a spot, plop all our stuff down, then we go out, jump in the water, and swim out. Typically, you'd look back, make sure you knew where your stuff was and whatever. But if you get out to where your feet aren't touching the ground, you're just kind of treading some water. Well, if you're just kind of, getting lost in the fact you're going up and down over the waves or whatever, and you're not constantly looking back to see if you can see your stuff, you can easily get swept away by the current, whether you've been taken out to sea or just you can travel down the shoreline. And so it's super easy to get swept away by this current of information. And it can seem good and seem right and seem beneficial, and you're just like, freak, man, I'm just trying to work it out, and your mind's all jacked up, but you're just like, whatever, and you can be drifting down the thing. But it's like, if there's a current out there, right, which if you go to the ocean, right, typically they got warnings and stuff about riptides and whatever that's going to pull you out. But if there's a current, then you constantly look back at the shore, because if you find you've drifted down a little bit, you start working your way back, so now you're like, again, straight out from your stuff. So that you keep yourself in check, so you know where you are at all times. Like you're aware of your surroundings and the information.
Sure. Yeah.
Because otherwise you can find yourself.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff is claimed to be Christian content, but a lot of bull crap.
Yeah,
because I mean, a lot of it's I don't know. I mean, I at least I've found, I've talked to people that have believed things that aren't necessarily true. A lot of stuff about what we talk about, like, it's bad to have things, it's bad to have success, it's bad to and it's bad to have any kind of pride in anything or anything like that. Like all those things are, so I think it's just, there's a lot of stuff out there that's just not true, and that stuff can seem good and seem right, but I don't know. I guess I've been. It's hard to remember where I was 3 years ago, because I think I was back when I was in all that stuff, but I guess it's a good thing that I can't remember all that stuff.
Forget it and move on. Yeah.
But like Ben was going through a lot of that stuff, like where he was so jacked up in his mind that he didn't even know what, like he just thought anything good, anything that he wanted to pursue that was good was bad, just because of all the content he had listened to and the stuff he had read and all that, and the stuff that had infiltrated his life, that he let infiltrate his life, thinking it was good, but it really led him down the wrong way. So I think getting to know him was just proof that like the yeast that you let in affects the batch,
Sure,
the bread, the final bread.
Yeah. Well, you think about it, right? I mean, so whatever you're influenced by, you become like nourished by, and whatever you become nourished by, you become conformed to. So if the things that you're influenced by are negative, right, it's going to prove to have a negative effect on your life. But you start to be conformed to whatever it is you're influenced by, because I mean, I mean, you see people out there and they've got charisma, they've got conviction, and they're out there slinging whatever it is they're slinging because they believe it.
Yeah.
But just because somebody believes it doesn't make it right.
Or said it, yeah.
But it also doesn't mean that they're wrong if they're not, if they're not. but
if they're right,
yeah,
they're not wrong.
Exactly. But it's just that thing where it's like, there's that passage about like prophecy, and he's like, test everything. Like, don't just because somebody said it doesn't mean it, doesn't mean that's fact.
Yeah.
Like, feel free to check for yourself. Like, was that information actually correct?
Yeah.
Or was it not? It sounded good, or it sounded weird, or what, like, it's okay to, take responsibility for what you believe.
Yeah.
Is it actually for reals?
Yeah.
Or was it just a fine sounding argument, which there are some. Because,
Sure.
It's like kind of like we were talking about, and we probably talk about it too much, but, it's like this misunderstanding of humility, right? It's like, oh, you're supposed to be humble, which, yeah, absolutely. But what is humility, right? It's humility is not it's not the
looking down on yourself.
Yeah. It's not the belief that you hold no value.
Sure. Yeah.
It's your ability to restrain your strength. It's the fact that you have value, you have abilities, you have skills, and in times when it's necessary, you're able to control them. You're able to restrain them.
Yeah.
Where you don't unleash it, or you don't use what you have to push down somebody else.
Yeah, if you're so crappy, there's no need for humility anyway.
Right. Well, yeah, they talk about, it's like humility, they try to say, well, I suck and it's not about me. But then it's like, it's all about you, because all you think is, you're no good.
And what's the purpose of having, there's no humility in that, because there's nothing for you to be humble about. Yeah. If you believe that about yourself.
Right. Yeah. But what happens though is that idea though, it totally takes away from this reality of being sanctified, right? Which is made holy and then set apart for purpose. Well, you think about influence, right? The kingdom of heaven is like this little bit of yeast that just a little bit will work its way into a whole batch and bring about this great transformation. Well, Jesus said, dude, you guys go into all the world and make disciples of nations. All right, so you think about influence, right? It's the capacity to have an effect on people's character, development, and behavior. All right, well, Jesus said, go into all the world and teach people to be like me. You need to have an effect on the character and the development and the behavior of people. Like, he says, you're the light of the world. He says, freaking nobody in their right mind lights a candle and sticks it under a bowl. Instead, you stick it on a stand so it can be displayed for everybody, so that it can give light to everybody in the room, which means your life is to have a positive effect on the people in that room, right? Because, that's to say that that room was once in darkness until you showed up. I mean,
yeah.
you're meant to have influence, but if you're influenced by incorrect information, then it causes you to believe that you're something that you're not. It tries to take away what you are, so that you don't actually become everything you're created to become.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I was thinking about. I don't know. I was thinking about what does it actually look like, to have influence, or how do you gain influence or grow in influence? Because we're people called to be massively influential, dude. Because if you are literally right, so we are called to demonstrate the kingdom of heaven on earth, but like we're actually called like to establish it, right? Like cause people to think, feel, and act and relate in keeping with the ways of the kingdom of heaven. So we need to have an influence. So what does that look like? And I think it looks like solving some real world problems with kingdom solutions. I mean, Jesus solved, he solved some problems, man. He healed the sick, he raised the dead, cast out the demons, cleansed the leopards, healed the blind.
That's the yeast. That's the good yeast.
That's the good yeast. I mean, he came to bind up the brokenhearted, to release the captives from prison, from darkness. Yeah, I mean, he came and he solved some problems.
Because that stuff spreads, and then just like the yeast would spread through the dough, stuff spreads, more people, more positive influence, then more people, then more positive influence. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and well, it's like when he spoke, everybody's like, "Freak, dude!" Like, there's nobody like this guy, because he actually speaks like he knows what he's talking about. Like he has authority. Like nobody else was talking like that. And then over and over, it's like, it's saying that people are hanging on every word that he was saying. But it's like that's influence.
Yeah.
Like, so you need to be good at something.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sure.
Like people who are influential are people who lead.
Yeah.
Like they're people who have some vision and have purpose, and they go after it. Then other people are attracted to what they're doing and will then follow or join or be a part of,
Right.
and work with these people.
Right.
Because they're going somewhere and doing something. Like the people who are influential are the people who are taking action. They're the people who are standing up in front and saying, "Hey, this is the direction for this." Or like, "Here, I have the answer to this." Grant Cardone's like, "Here's the answer to make money and for selling," right? What's his bucket? Some other people,
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison. Here's
electricity.
the light bulb. Yeah. But it's like, you find your niche and you go after it. And it's not that you have to be like these big celebrity type things, but it's like, we're created to lead.
Yeah.
Everybody's created to lead. I mean, we're all called to have dominion over the world, right? It wasn't dominion over one another. We're all called to lead, to serve, to offer your purpose and your gift to the world.
Yeah. I like that. What did you say? Everyone was created to be like, it's your duty to be good at something, or everyone's created to be good at something. Like it's okay to be good at something.
It's almost not okay to be.
Yeah. Yeah. But I literally believe like it was better to think that you're bad at everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because that makes sense. Because then you can hate yourself, hate life,
and think that you're gaining some kind of
no impact.
Right.
The whole point.
No responsibility, no accountability, nothing.
Right. It's just wait around.
Sure.
Until you die and decompose.
Literally.
Right?
Yeah.
Your insides are already dead. You're just waiting for your outsides to catch up.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's horrible.
It was,
right.
It's terrible.
that is.
It's like a haunted house.
Yeah. That's horrible. Those are ideas that came to kill you.
Yeah.
Like literally, like it came to deprive you of your identity, of your purpose, and of your vision. That is the kind of yeast you want to stay out of. Like you don't want that junk to cultivate inside of you.
Yeah.
Instead, right, you want these ideas, man, that you were created to be valuable, that you were created to have impact. Look, man, I was just thinking about this Okay, so Zacchaeus. So Zacchaeus, right? Is it Zacchaeus? Yeah, Zacchaeus. I was getting him confused with Nicodemus earlier. I just told my kids about this story. So you guys know about Nicodemus? I was like, oh, wait. I'm like, Zacchaeus. They did know both stories. But yeah, he was a wee little man.
Yeah.
Wee little man was he.
Poor little guy.
Poor little guy. So Zacchaeus was the chief tax collector, right? And it's interesting because tax collectors are synonymous with like sinners and like horrible people because they would use their authority to not only take the taxes but then take more for themselves.
Yeah, it's the IRS. It's the biblical IRS,
but worse. Yeah. But yeah, so it's interesting because it's real interesting. So here's this guy Zacchaeus. There's a big crowd. Here comes Jesus. He's short, but he really wants to see Jesus. So he climbs up in a tree. Jesus sees him, calls him by name, and says, "Hey, I'm going to go to your house and eat. Let's go."
Hey, you.
Yeah.
Get down from there.
So it says that the crowd was super displeased.
Oh, wow.
Because they did not like Nicodemus.
Oh, okay, sure. I think I remember that now.
Because he's stole from everybody.
Because he was a tax collector, yeah.
Which is interesting. So anyways, why everybody else is crying and whining about, because, you got to believe there's a bunch of nice people in the crowd who would have loved to have Jesus over at their house. Like, they would have loved to serve him the finest foods, best drinks. He calls Nicodemus, he's a bro, or Zacchaeus, whatever his name is. He's like, bro, let's go. And so here Nicodemus just has a total...
Zacchaeus.
What did I say it again?
Yeah. I think it's Zacchaeus.
Good old Zacchaeus. What's his name? Zacchaeus. The wee little man. Yeah. He has this total freaking perspective shift. And he's like, all right, I'm going to give half of my possessions to the poor. And then if I stole from anybody, I'm going to give back 4 times whatever I took. And Jesus said, salvation has come to this house. But I was just thinking about this guy, right? Like, people hated him, but they had a reason to hate him. Like, he literally took advantage of people.
Yeah. Like,
if somebody was commonly taking advantage of people, like, we would not like them. No. It is Jesus was like, hey, I'm going to go to your house. This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's the people you're like, dude, you're so freaking obnoxious, or you're a jerk, or like, I can't stand your attitude or whatever. And Jesus is like, hey, to that guy, not to you, but to that guy. No, to you too. But no, but it's just like he goes to that guy, and that guy's life totally becomes totally different.
Yeah. When Jesus said salvation has come on this house.
Yeah.
This day. And what do you think it wasn't because of what he gave? It was just because of the mindset shift. It was because of the transformation of his life at that point. Because at first it was a take mindset, and then after he had met Jesus, dined with Jesus, it was a give mindset. It was just a different mind. It was a different mindset. It was so I guess that's what I was going to clarify. It was like, it's not that he gave half, or would it have mattered if he gave everything, gave a quarter or whatever? It was just the fact that his whole perspective switched, that he had faith at that point. And I don't know, that's just what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think just the actions came from the motivation.
Right. It wasn't the things that saved him or that caused the transformation. It was what happened with Jesus that caused that transformation.
Yeah, that then created the action.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting to just think about the influence, right? But then Jesus said, "Look, man, I came to seek and save the lost. It's not the healthy who need a doctor; it's the sick." And it's like often, right? Then there's like the story of Levi, who he's like, Jesus is like, "Hey, come follow me." And Levi was he was in his tax collector's booth, right? Tax collector synonymous with butthole, and so here Jesus goes to Levi's house. And all Levi's buddies come over who are all tax collectors and whatever. And, and the Pharisees are like, why does he eat with this scum? Right. But it's like, no, these are the people who I came for. It's interesting that these are the people he came for. And I was just thinking about this concept of like, he came for, in Mark 4, I think, he says, and this is the NLT, he says, I didn't come for those who think that they're righteous. I came for those who know that they're sinners. And I was just thinking about the difference between like somebody who knows they're lost knows when they're found. Like the difference between like, no, I know I'm jacked up. I know whatever the information I have is wrong, but I don't have any other information. When all you know is all you know. And when all you know sucks, then everything you know sucks. And you produce fruit in keeping with the quality of information you have. So it's like these people who know that they're sinners, right? They know then when they've tasted what's for real. But you get these people who think they're found, but are actually lost. That's a whole different like ball game.
Yeah.
But it's like he's going after those who know that they're jacked up.
Sure.
And here's Zacchaeus. This guy that everybody else hated totally became like redeemed.
Yeah. And knew it. And the actions showed that he knew it. He knew the difference had been made between his old self and his new self. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking about I don't know, or maybe John 8 or maybe something else totally different. But the woman caught in adultery. Jesus is in the temple and this big crowd comes and brings this lady. He's like, "Oh, we caught her in adultery." Which how do you catch somebody in adultery? I mean,
you have to be spying or something.
It wasn't that they found her stone tablet, right? And there's all these text messages on it. So, anyways, but they didn't bring the guy. They just brought the girl. So here's this girl. If she's caught in adultery, that means she was either married or the guy she was with was married to somebody else. She was married to somebody else, or maybe neither of them were married and they got busy or whatever. But anyway, you slice it, right? She did something that was against other people and this and that.
Yeah.
And so everybody wanted to stone her. And it's just interesting, right? Like, Jesus wasn't getting all hot and bothered about people's actions. It was more like he was after the motivation that creates those actions.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, anyway, she ends up not getting stoned. Why? Because freaking Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just like, it's this idea that it can be super easy to get offended by like what people say and what they do. Like, even Zacchaeus, right? I mean, these guys are straight up stealing money. And it's like, it's not to say that these things are okay and that they shouldn't be, dealt with. But it's like, it's just interesting Jesus's perspective of like overlooking the symptom and finding the source and dealing with the source, which then fixes the symptom.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because everyone was focused on the symptom. Everyone thought the action was so irreversible and so bad that, But, Jesus could see past all that.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, the idea of like so influence, right? Good, bad. I was thinking about, like a gang or, people who are selling drugs on the street or whatever. All my knowledge of this is based upon TV shows and movies. But
the NSV version?
This is the New Street version, yeah. Yeah, so anyways, but you think about like a gang, right? I mean, they're bringing people in because they're promising them like family. They're promising them protection, and they're giving them purpose and they're giving them vision. Yeah. All these things might suck, but they're giving them something when they had nothing. And so it's like the point is that there's that verse that says, "Wake up, O sleeper, and arise and shine, for your light has come. And I'm just saying, right, like there's the world is waiting for the children of God to really show themselves for who they really are.
Yeah.
Like the people who bring about redemption, who bring about healing, who bring about transformation in a neighborhood, a town, a city, in a state, in a country. Like, arise and shine, for your light has come.
Right.
Like it's you need to be influential.
And there's yeast out there that's telling people don't be, that seems like good yeast, but don't be influential. Stay secluded, stay humble.
Stay humble.
Yeah, but it's crazy. What could the country look like if everyone that said they're a Christian lived like, the way that that Christ would want us to live, that, not tied with emotion or tied with, the past and all that stuff and blah, 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 but like actually believing that we're good at things and that there's things that we can do to change people's lives, change scenarios, change environments, all that stuff. But I think it's a real lie when people give into the other side and think that they've got to stay low, stay secluded, stay in the background, believe that they're not good at anything, believe that they just, this life doesn't matter. It's just about getting to heaven. And I think that's what the enemy would want us to believe, is because at that point, nobody's doing anything then. And then there's no, what that proverb says, there's no restraint, that everyone just does what they want. Christians are just living in the background, almost living an underground society almost. And yeah, I mean, it's like we've got all these huge mega churches, but nothing is, there's a lot of people that believe that, they're worthless and all that stuff. And there's so much that could be done. But yeah, it's just interesting to kind of see, like, there's a lot of, we might have believed a lie for a long time, and there's a lot of people that might still believe that lie today, that is really real, and trying to slow down the progress that could be made. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, so Jesus said it like this. He said, the greatest among you will be your servant. So he said, the greatest among you will be your servant. Right? And so when we're talking about servant, we're not talking about like just doing what everybody else wants you to do.
Slave to everybody else. Yeah.
We're talking about like offering up your purpose, right? Jesus did not go around saying what other people wanted him to say. He didn't go around doing what other people wanted him to do. He went around and said what the Father said, and he went around and did what he saw the Father doing. So he served the people, his purpose, his gifts, his reason for being here on earth. And it's like, it's in that. The greatest among you will be your servant. No, so look, your gifts, right? Your potential is that those are the things you are to hone, become knowledgeable and become skillful, become an expert in, and serve that to the world. This is how you're going to create influence. This is how you're going to create impact. This is how you're going to create transformation, which the purpose of us on earth, right, is to be connected in God and to freaking help other people realize the exact same thing. Like, we are trying to establish the reality of our relationship with God, the reality of the kingdom of heaven. We want to establish that on earth as it is in heaven. Let it be on earth. But that's done through us. Jesus said, look, man, the kingdom of heaven's like this. It's like a master who gathered up all his people and gave them duties and responsibilities and then left. Right? There's the parable in Luke with the parable of the Mines or Minas or
Minies?
Minies. I think that's how you pronounce it. The minis, the mini muffins. He gave them each mini muffins.
Zacchaeus was a mini man.
Or was it Nicodemus? Yeah. So he had a 10 pieces of gold or 10 bags, 10 things of gold, and distributed it to 10 servants. And then the master leaves. He gathers them up. Oh, he said, I'm going to go become a king. I'm going to be put a king over these people. Well, the people he's going to go become king of didn't want him to be king, but he became king anyways. And then when he came back, he said, "Oh, what'd you guys do with what I gave you? The first, what was the profit you guys made?" And so the first guy was like, "Man, I made 10 times, what I was given." He's like, "Dude, good job. Well, I'm going to put you in charge of 10 cities." Next guy was like, "Dude, I made 5 times what I was given." He's like, "Dude, good job. I'll put you in charge of 5 cities." Third guy was like, "Dude, here's your money back. I knew you were hard, harsh, blah, blah." It's the same, similar as the talents.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Shut your face." No, he's like, "If you knew I was hard, dude, you would have put that money in the bank and at least gained some interest back."
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's that concept where, man, like, we've been given duties and responsibilities, and you will never be able to fulfill those if we believe that we're no good and you don't have anything valuable to offer. If you're not supposed to be excellent, if you're not supposed to bring epic value, then you will never, you won't have anything to show. But again, it's not, we're never, ever talking about like we got to do these things in order to make God love us, right? I'm always talking about our identity is rooted in who we are in God, and it's from identity that we realize purpose and vision. So we're never doing these things to earn God's favor. We live in God's favor, and from that favor, we take action and change the world.
Yeah.
Because look, when you become whole and restored, right? Like, healing comes. In that, you start to find who you actually are. From that, then you start to realize like the capacity you have to bring about change. Like, you start to see the meaning, the weightiness that is you. Like, you hold weight. You have the ability to bring change and affect positive, instances. Like, you have the ability to bring about the kingdom of heaven on earth. You have the ability to cause people to taste and see who God actually is. Like, that's inside of you. And so the only way that's going to be realized is understanding that, dude, you were made righteous, made holy, and you've been given everything you need. Like, from this identity, we've got stuff to do. But it's all related to the potential that's inside of you that has to come out. It's let me say that differently. It doesn't have to come out. Like, it's possible to live your life and not realize any of your potential. Like, that junk's possible.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Miles talks about how, like, the graveyard is full of like dead dreams, right? Like, it's like there was books that were never written, songs that were never sung, right? There are poems, there's, all their messages never spoken. There were all these things that died inside of these people, these hopes, these dreams, these ideas died with these people. It's like, it's full. The graveyard is full of just untapped potential. It's possible to not realize potential. But in Jesus' name, freaking realize your potential. I've there's definitely been the struggle of, realizing, like, stop asking for permission when you've been commissioned. Like, you've already been given the authority, the duty to go, right? The time to wait was when Jesus told his disciples, "Hey, wait till the Holy Spirit comes upon you." Right? So they waited. Well, then the Holy Spirit came. Okay, then it was like, oh, it's game on.
Yeah.
The time to wait is gone.
It's over.
Feel free, just feel free to go, man. There's ideas, man. I get all these ideas, and it's just like, I just wonder how many of these ideas I could actually do. Like, how much what if I just went for it all out? It's like, what if you lived like Jesus was going to come back any day, but then you also lived like he wasn't? Like, you took action in such a way that you knew that your life mattered. It mattered for the people who are to come after you. Like, it matters for all the people who are around you now. So what if you lived knowing that, okay, I'm going to have to give an account and my life freaking matters, so I take massive amounts of action, right? So you live like Jesus is coming back now. But then you also live like Jesus isn't coming back now, and meaning that whatever you build to last. You build to last for the generations to come. Like, you set You take what you've been given from past generations. You use it to realize your potential and purpose, and what you build, you then have and help establish the next generations. Like, live on purpose and go ham and cheese, and then set everybody else up who's to come after you.
Yeah. Like,
it's possible. It's possible. It's possible to build a fire, a life that creates this fire that's so big, so hot, so wide, so it spans so far that the nations will see it, call you up, and be like, "Bro, we need the warmth of that fire.
Yeah.
Like, over here, bring us some of your fire." It's possible, and it's in this reality of influence, man. It's in this reality that you've been sanctified, you've been set apart for a purpose, you've been made holy, you have what you need, you have identity, you have purpose, you have vision, you have this potential that is knocking at the door saying, "Dude, let me out." Yeah. Go realize the true potential of who you are, like, unencumbered. Like, who cares? Let's just go out and, like, don't worry about failing or messing up. Go mess up, go fail, and then just keep going. Like, just pedal to the metal. Why not? You're not going to get to the end of your life and be like, "Man, I'm really glad I didn't get any scratches on my car. I'm really glad I didn't work too hard. I'm really glad, at the end of my life that, man, I just, I have a real nice doll collection, like little
glad
glass."
I got to stay in that condo when I was 65.
You're not. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. You're going to be like, "I'm glad."
Crap.
I'm glad I threw all caution to the wind. I embraced the uncomfortable. I got into the crazy. I had these ideas and I chased after them until they freaking became alive, and I changed and impacted the world because of that.
You don't want to be like, "Crap, I had 70 years." Or, "Crap, it's over." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too late at that point.
Yeah.
But right now is what you got.
Be an influencer.
The yeast. Just a little bit, man, goes a long way. And Zacchaeus, this guy who nobody liked, got a little taste and was never the same because of it. There are people out there waiting for you to share a little bit of what you got so that they taste and see who God actually is and become who they're actually created to be. Those who know they're lost know when they're found. So go make a couple people found. My good peoples. Until next time. Peace. Guys, thanks so much for sticking around. If you're new to Be Transformed, make sure you subscribe and then hit us up at teambetransformed.com, where you can find everything you need to live a life that says all day, "I keep it cultivated." If you're not sure what that is, make sure you check out the video and then join the movement. Until next time.